We'll see what happens in game number 2. Let's head to Luminosity versus Splyce. Really interested to see where this draft goes. Splyce on the left side with the picks, or excuse me, with the first pick at the first ban. I expect to see a lot of the same stuff. I don't want to see any Guan Yu played. I definitely don't want to see any Hachiman for LG either.
I think that one thing they're certainly not going to want to allow through again is the Terra Serb combination. That was actually pretty nasty. It's so much frontline, and there wasn't nearly enough burst on Luminosity's territory in order to be able to actually eliminate one by one of Splyce. They kind of just were able to run around as a 5-man grouping, and no one could really do anything about it.
It was like a rubber band ball, right? Where it's just like all grouped together, and then everything goes haywire if you touch it the wrong way. Hachi banned by Splyce. You like that, Hachi ban? Thanks. Clout not going to be able to play that. And Sir Cat going to be banned away from Cyno Shore.
Exact same bans for Luminosity in Game 1 leading into Game 2. And Splyce more than happy to run it back. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Terra is going to be your #1 choice here.
Yeah, huge application to the games that we saw right before. Athena will be selected here for LG. I like that pick. Geno, not Geno, when he first came on the scene, Athena was the only god that he showed, and he looked good at it. Does have a larger god pool, but when you're that good at the Athena, why play anything else?
Well, I was going to say, there's still a decent amount of uncertainty left here in Luminosity's draft. Despite Athena and Achilles being their hard lock-in choices, this could still be possibilities for support, jungle, or solo, even between the Achilles. I know that Achilles has kind of been leaning more towards like the jungle aspect lately, but that's also the Erlang Shen that we were waiting for.
I don't remember if we were talking about it on air or off air, Taco.
It was on the last desk segment.
We just talk about Smite all the time, honestly. But you mentioned the Erlang Shen.
Yeah, because, well, Cyno, a.k.a. Cyno DJ 2.0, because they're making him play all the same guys that they made DJ play.
Oh, DJ Pernicus. I thought you meant he had an electronic music career. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Oh, no, I can see where I was a little misleading there. No, but it's a common joke that's been made a little bit every now and then, of course, in fun gesture towards Cyno, that he has tended to adapt a little bit more of that Pernicus Godpool. And there's something to be said about playing alongside of the best, where I do think that a lot of these junglers try to kind of cater for his playstyle, and that's also partially the jungler's job, which is why we can see so many complications happening between a lot of mid-jungle pairings. But I'm a fan of this. I think that the Erlang Shen in the jungle role can really provide some strong setup potential alongside of the Raijin, who already deals a ton of damage.
In response, Poseidon going to be picked up by LG. Love this choice. Poseidon shuts down Erlang Shen. A lot of what he wants to do is that knock-up potential, and that'll stop that out. Ram, the hunter for LG. And then Chaac and Xbalanque will be the choice. Interesting to see the Chaac, to be honest with you.
That's a Divios pick all day long. I mean, who plays Chaac?
Well,
I'll tell you, Divios.
Sure, and the beautiful thing about Chaac, first of all, yes, Chaac money. You know I love to see him. But on a serious note, since getting his attack speed slow back on the healing rain, that is actually a very, very powerful pick. I really like Chaac.
I like it because of the Ram pickup. Because he relies very heavily on that attack speed steroid, and also the way that Chaac can combine with the rest of the group. Imagine being silenced into a darkest night where you already can't see anything, and that just gets a little bit weird. I mean, we saw Aggro's face during that. He's clearly not thinking things are going to be too hot for Luminosity off that Kuzenbo.
Here's Aggro has never seen a composition where he thinks Chaac is the correct selection ever.
In all fairness, there are plenty of times where I see a Chaac succeed, and I will always think to myself, could any other warrior, and I mean any other warrior, have done the exact same thing? The answer is usually yes. But if you're Divios, you just want to play Chaac.
I like the idea to call the Ram. And shout-outs to the Turtle Man, Kuzenbo. We saw him in the minor league mainly because Divion plays him really well. But I like seeing this Kuzenbo because Xbalanque has dots and he's a hunter, and Kuzenbo's the anti-hunter, right? But he's the harder-hitting hunter. And it's really tough to play Raijin. Raijin has a lot of channeled abilities that you start it, Kuzenbo hits the shield, the shell, and you go, well, I got to stop ulting now.
Yeah, but the main differences I'm seeing between these two comps, though, is when I look at Splyces, it's very clear what they're trying to do. They want to pick somebody and they want to isolate them, which they have 2 great God Ultimates for that, Chaacs and Xbalanques, and then there's plenty of burst damage between the Raijin and the Erlang. But when you look at Luminosity's draft, like, what does that draft do? I mean, there are pieces that can work together, but it's not like one jigsaw puzzle as a whole. And so that's probably the main concerns I have here for Luminosity heading into Game 2.
We'll see if Luminosity can deal with their draft or not. Xbalanque versus Kuzenbo. Shout out to Agro's favorite pick, Chaac. Let's go to the game.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I really appreciate that one, too. I don't know what that is, by the way. I'm taking a picture of us just me looking at you.
Just me doing a face. I don't know.
It's you not liking Chaac.
I make that face all the time. That's me,
That's
right
pretty
there.
true. That's pretty true.
I make that face a lot. I really do.
So Kuzenbo is in this game as well, and Tom was talking a little bit about some of the picks there. Erlang Shen, he's definitely going to have a couple of issues against this.
I'm not that worried, though, because Cyno plays this pick so well. I mean, he is an Erlang Shen main. Don't get it twisted. This man loves to play Erlang Shen, and he plays it really, really well. Splyce play well around it. The Kuzenbo does worry me because Erlang Shen does all of his damage via auto attack, and it's not necessarily great burst damage. It's kind of sustained, but it does a lot with that spot weakness. Kuzenbo is just going to press 2 and not really worry about it anymore. So that is a bit of a concern, but Cyno's just going to ignore him, go for Poseidon, go for Rama.
Well, you guys in chat, you get a decision to make. Do you vote for Kuzenbo or do you vote for Chaac? That's exactly where we are in this game.
No, there's 4 other gods on each team.
No, it's Kuzenbo versus Chaac. That's the
What
important
about the
massive
Poseidon?
thing.
What about Keegs gets to play Poseidon? That's important.
Big question, though. Kuzenbo and Athena on the same team. Which one's going solo? Which one is Kiki going to be? Oh, it's not Kiki. Which one's we're going to see coming out?
I could see it being
It is
Athena
Kiki.
solo. Yeah, it is Kiki. I think that we could see Athena solo in that Kuzenbo in the support role. Does make Xbalanque's life a little bit harder in that dual lane. Wouldn't surprise me too much.
It's Kiki versus Chaac versus Kuzenbo. Tell me about this matchup, Aggro. You are the analyst.
Oh, yeah.
Kuzenbo
Please,
versus Chaac.
just stop talking so I can get into it. I just
Okay,
can't
go.
wait. Yeah, this is going to be awesome. Chaac versus Kuzenbo, everything I love in the solo lane. They're going to slap each other a lot. They're not going to do a whole lot of damage to one another. They're going to be really annoying to deal with in team fights, and that's about all they do.
Does the Nene Kappa help Divios to stack up his passive easier? Is that a good thing for Chaac?
No, Divios isn't worried about his mana pool overall anyways. He's got mana sustain from the Warrior's Blessing passive. He's going to be getting blue buffs consistently. Against the Kuzenbo, you're not worried about getting your blue buff invaded a whole lot. It isn't really that big of a deal.
Well, Kiki can actually start off with his dash here instead of looking for his Nene Kappa. It does do decent damage if you can throw him through the minions, but now Divios has seen that. He's not going to let that happen too often.
That is the level 1 strat more often than not with Kuzenbo, is to push the enemy solo laner through their minion wave, but Divios isn't going to spend a whole lot of time right in front of his minion wave because as soon as he hits level 6, that's going to just insta-clearing the wave.
50% believe Kuzenbo is the favorite, 50% believe Chaac is the favorite.
Or maybe it was the Achilles for Luminosity that swayed someone. Maybe
Listen, the other one's not
the
important.
Erlang Shen.
The Achilles, yeah, maybe it was. Achilles versus Erlang Shen, we'll talk about that one a little bit later. In the mid lane, Keegs is under a lot of pressure. He'll drop that whirlpool down with the beads, and Best juke the wrong way, straight into the damage that Keegs threw out.
Man, that's the most frustrating thing for me when you try and juke an ability that would have missed by a mile if you would just ran straight. That's the 200 IQ plays from Keegs. Congratulations, Best.
However,
you played yourself.
However, at the same time, when you do that as a mage, you go, calculated, I knew he was going to juke that way.
Every time, but only if I'm the one who does it.
That's
Otherwise, they're an idiot.
Lucky.
They got lucky.
Yeah, lucky by missing. I expected you to connect, and you didn't. So, both sets of Harpies going to go to LG, plus that first blood round the waist of Keegs. So that bonus gold going to be allowing him to get his build online a little bit sooner now, get towards those potential boots.
Neither jungler has their blink, neither mid has their beads, and Clout doesn't have a whole lot of life left. Cyclone, if he was level 3, I think he goes in there onto Clout, but look at that damage.
Well,
returned very quickly.
Respect the minions. People still don't do that, even though the minions did get a bit of a nerf Season 5. They still do hurt in the early game if you don't respect them. Especially when your health bar is just so slender at the start of the game.
Cyclone's got a health potion and a multi-potion ticking and still summon inventory.
Oh, we caught him. Forcing the beads out after the clap came down from Aror. Cyclone's just going to swing away. And to be fair, as long as Cyclone doesn't die and just keeps putting out damage, he's stacking that passive.
That's right. Doesn't have to worry about getting kills anymore. Xbalanque passive stacking off pure player damage. CycloneSpin getting awfully close to getting 5 free power. Just has it.
Now, it's funny all the little changes that have happened to Xbalanque to bring him to this point, and one of the things that, you know, even though the passive has been changed quite a bit recently and the reason he's come back, it's also the mana changes to his abilities have dropped significantly over time, which means that he can sustain as well as any other hunter in this lane.
Just 3 mana per branching bola, and with the MP5 that Hunter's Blessing gives you, which is quite a bit, by the way, you're not worried about your mana pool at all. In fact, you can basically permanently have branching bola on whenever it's sitting at level 1, and I think that's a big reason why Xbalanque players are starting to utilize leveling their 2 and leveling their 3 even over that branching bola, leaving it until the later game because it will drain your mana pool quickly whenever it's fully maxed, taking 15 mana or more a shot. But in the early game, 3 mana per shot, no worries.
And you can see he's putting 2 points into the poison shots for the time being as well. On the right-hand side, Kiki started off with the meditation as well in terms of relics here. Something we've seen a little bit more out of the solo laners once again. Why Kuzenbo, though?
Just, he's not going to get as many blue buffs as you would probably hope to get on a Guardian against a Chaac who can likely invade you consistently. Just gives him a solid heal. Do you really want sprint against a Chaac? I mean, it does help against the slow from the rain, but outside of that, Thorns you can get at level 12. You can get that at level 12. Thorns in the early game doesn't really matter that much because enemies aren't doing that much damage to you. So Thorns isn't great at that stage of the game. This is just a matter of Kiki going, well, there's nothing else I really want right now. And it's unlikely that anyone from Splyce will be itemizing specifically into anti-heal because there isn't any sustain really besides weaken on Luminosity's side. So we can go this meditation pretty safely.
Talking about healing and sustain, I mean, Aror's got some, as does Divios and Cyno. Do you expect to see some sort of anti-heal this game? It's not something you normally look to.
I think I'd be buying a Divine Ruin here if I'm Keegs because it's
no,
more about...
you would not.
I would too.
Really?
Oh, I'm a team player here, Graham.
Liar.
Look, it's not playing ranked where I'm just I'm doing whatever I want to do. In competitive play, I'm buying Divine Ruin to stop their health pot ticking up. If it's going to help the squad. It's more about Terra Ultimate heal in the midst of a team fight is such a big swing, and that can be really difficult to combat in the mid to late game team fight. Her normal healing from the Monolith, whatever. I'm not worried about that at all. But that Earth and Fury heal is really difficult to handle.
Well, that beads burn from CycloneSpin there by Geno could actually be quite important now, especially around the 5-minute mark. This is where the jungle kind of opens up a little bit. The speed buff's already down. Red buffs are coming up, so you could see a bit more of a rotation to this left-hand side. We'll see if Keegs and maybe even, weaken Keegs, maybe even try and make some rotations to the left now to use that beat to their advantage.
I would love to see we can head over to the left. Just one blink shield will guarantee a kill on a CycloneSpin at this point in the game. Without purification beads, you got Athena taunt to set him up. Only one ward on the bottom left side, and CycloneSpin, if he's pushed too far up, that ward won't give him enough time to react and try and get to safety.
When we talk about skins now and again, we see some cool skins in game, right? But some of them aren't good competitively, and I always feel this Poseidon skin is a little bit easier to juke the tentacle that's going to come out because you can see it nice and clear. Hold up, Geno may need to avoid some damage first of all, and will do so. The Kraken was already used. You just saw the tentacle right across the screen. Didn't find a home there, but a nice little pick. Problem is, Aurora was credited with a kill, unfortunately.
But it's a Terra, and Terra is going to be able to utilize that gold pretty nicely. Being able to finish off your Gauntlet of Thieves a little bit earlier is a really big power spike over your opponent, so it's not as bad as it once was for a lot of Guardians to be getting first blood. Yeah, I'm really weird about the skins I'll use because I'm not good enough to hit everything all the time, so I need to make excuses for when I'm missing stuff.
Right.
I prefer Poseidon I've been on a big recolor kick recently.
Recolor's really good.
Poseidon recolor is a really, really good one. On the other hand, though, I agree that one is kind of all over the place. I think it can distract your opponent and give you a slight advantage.
Oh, I always look at it like everyone can see it coming really clear at which direction it's going, so it's very easy to go, all right, sidestep right, I'm fine.
Yeah, it kind of wiggles around. The top of it wiggles a little bit.
It always feels like it moves slower is what I'm trying to say too, but it doesn't. It moves exactly the same.
Poseidon 1 moves slow as hell no matter what skin you're using.
That's fair enough. Aurora in the jungle, gonna meet Geno once again, and the Guardians trading out over wards. As always, Geno comes out on top at the end of the day, dropping a sentry of his own.
Do they both expire at the same time?
I think so.
I don't think you can.
I thought I saw a ward there.
But whenever Aurora dashed away, there was no ward there anymore. So I don't know. That really is like the support Super Bowl, though. Trying to fight over sentry wards that really don't even matter that much. That's huge. That's
regular season. It's not Super Bowl. Aurora has been removed from the map. Blink, weaken, Kraken. Jobs are good, and thank you. Good night.
That's clean smite right there. Good communication from Weaken and Keegs. Just clean execution. Nothing to worry about there if you're on Luminosity.
It's those moments in time when you play any character and you go, well, there is literally nothing you could have done there to save yourself. And Aror was that exact scenario there. Maybe a ward playstyle could have saved him? No, probably not.
A ward would have helped. Probably wouldn't have stood that close. But even then, he wasn't that close, really, to the tower edge. Was sitting pretty far back underneath the tier 1. But that's when you get to just make big plays like that with quick execution, it's very hard to answer back.
Keeks always looks really dangerous on the Poseidon, though, and so far 2 kills under his belt. Thanks to the support of his team, has actually given them a small lead. The gold from the first blood is the real telling point there. But 1,000 experience is nothing to ignore, even though it's approaching 10 minutes.
Aror didn't get to finish off his Gauntlet of Thieves either, kind of left the base with tier 2, and that's a bad feeling no matter what stacking item you're going for when you have to back and sit on Devo Gloves 2 or Warlocks 2. It really just messes with your whole back timing. Now, Aror did mitigate some of that by picking up an Oracle Chalice, spent some of his gold to make sure that his team is going to get something out of it.
Blinking from Cyno, beats burned early by Keeks, and the taunt from Geno takes Cyno away from getting his sort of. You saw the animation, but it didn't confirm in time. So Cyno still has his ult, which he uses now.
Some weaken. Still okay in this boxing trade for the moment. Stun not going to hit because Weekend uses the ultimate to keep the fight going. Cyno interrupts that shield at just the right time. Aror trying to finish off Weekend, but Geno again on this Athena, man.
Oh, but Keeks wrapped around the back. Kraken came up. Kraken went down and Best disappeared. Keeks out of mana this time and it has been abandoned. Divios and Aror will secure that kill. Aror now getting his second.
This is how a lot of supports want to play. Don't give your kills to the carries or even the soul lane.
Exactly. Don't do anything, Chaac.
That's what I'm saying. Take it for the Terra. She'll be able to make even more use out of it.
Now, talking about Chaac a little bit more. Now, obviously, everyone's like, well, it's Chaac, right? But the thing is, there's only 2 players in the whole of the SPL that I've ever watched and go, okay, I understand it. Divios is one. Zayli is the other one. They're the main 2 Chaac players. But times I've seen that really be used was Transcendent Chaac once upon a time.
Could see it here from Divios. I mean, you're up against a Kuzenbo. You don't have any threat of dying, really, but I doubt it. Don't think we'll see that trans Chaac coming out from Divios. Like they said during picks and bans, Chaac can be effective. Sure. Absolutely. Divios is a great Chaac player, but Divios is just a great player. It's not exclusive to Chaac. There are just a lot of instances where I think that there are better picks at any given time. Now, in Divios and Chaac in particular, since that return of the attack speed debuff on the Rain, Chaac gets a lot more viability. Not sure that I want it against a Kuzenbo necessarily. If you're up against something like a Baka solo, you can slow down his attack speed a lot. That can be a good idea. But overall, that's just how I feel about Chaac.
I understand it. One thing I was going to mention was that Rain Dance, getting that extra little buff on it now, so it's an attack speed, so it's not going to really impact Kiki too much, but it will impact the likes of Clout, an auto-attack base hunter. If he just jumps on that, drops the Rain, it's going to be a you're basically treading through mud the entire time trying to basic attack.
Yes, but that's where sprints come in, that's where Peel comes in to get Divios away from Clout, but that's basically Divios' job here. In the last game, Divios' job was to harass Aphrodite, use your anti-heal on your passive, steal some of that healing away, shred her prots, and get her ready for everyone else to kill. In this game, still sitting on someone, but this time it's going to be Clout. Don't let him attack very easily. Slow down that attack speed considerably.
And Kiki, even though playing a Guardian this game, aggro, he's going to have a very similar job of protect the backline, protect people more than anything else. I think we'll see the Achilles and the Athena being the aggressors in the engagements, and then Kiki's there on Peel when required. Geno needs some Peel.
Knocked up and cut down. Cyno gets the kill, but Best was there with the support. I just love the way Cyno plays this Erlang Shen, man. He plays it so aggressively, understands how much damage he's going to do, which is a lot, by the way, on Erlang Shen jungle. The early Crusher synergizes beautifully, giving him some extra attack speed and just overall extra damage. This is a great pick for Cyno.
It's working out well for them so far. They've got a tiny bit of a gold lead because of it now, and LG had it once upon a time. But all 3 of those kills are on Keeks at the moment in that mid lane, who's just finished off his Gem of Isolation too, which is an important pickup for a Poseidon. However, look at this right-hand side.
Divios might get executed here before he can get his ultimate off. Gonna try and juke it out, but double taunt. But Cyno accidentally body blocks it and gets the knockups. Divios very low reach. Not quite enough, but he should fall here.
Eventually, Aror now in the rotation too. Cyno still under pressure after helping out his teammate. Dived underneath, and the Kraken from Keeks once again. Every single one of these Krakens is claimed alive.
Best is just sitting in base, was trying to wait for some gold to buy an item, and Luminosity take advantage beautifully. That's great. That's a great bait by Kiki on that right side. I mean, he lets himself get poked out a little bit too low, but sticks around. The meditation was there just in case as well. Really, really nice rotation from all of Luminosity.
Well, with Divios down there, he has headed back to base, hitting level 12, and gone for the blink option. So clearly he's going to be able to engage for his team if required here, get to the back line, look to try and get onto Clout and keep him busy.
Man, he's going to blink, wait 2 seconds, then silence everyone. That's going to be...
And knock up.
And the slightest of knockups.
Hey, no, listen. Slight Master's Will, once upon a time, had a slight knock-up on it, and how crazy was that?
That's because he had another knock-up in his kit, and that was a regular ability, not an ultimate.
Fair.
Yeah. It's Chaac, man.
Still a knock-up.
It's still a knock-up, sure.
Listen, if he wins the game, you can't complain anymore. Chaac won, if he does.
Chaac wins a lot of games where I think any other warrior could have won there as well.
Okay, we'll find out what happens.
When you press tab and you go, oh man, Chaac has blink, I'm not safe anywhere now. Like, is that really your thought process?
I mean, I feel the same way about Erlang Shen with the same situation, but look at this gold fury rush from Splyce. Where is LG? They know it's going on, but you know what? It's nighttime, says Cyclone, so no one gets to see how low it was.
Love that use of Xbalanque ultimate because Luminosity was just out of range and they hear everything going on. They hear Taiko drums and they don't want to walk right into the lion's den and just eat an ultimate straight to the face.
LG trying to answer back by stealing away a red buff with Keeks, but Keeks got poked a little bit. They'll get a tier 1 tower in the mid lane though, which does answer back some of that gold and give him a bit more of a map advantage actually at this point in time.
Divios has to use the ultimate a bit defensively. Best has to watch out now because he doesn't have ult, hasn't backed for Aegis yet, and his beads are down. One taunt Kraken, he's dead.
Rama actually gets his ultimate off on everybody, but then he gets hit by a Kraken. Divios around the back looking to clean it up with Best jumping in too, but Clout claims the life of Cyno already. Best is out of mana, no escape available, and now he's in the mud that is that Whirlpool. Kiggs gets credit for that kill.
Go fire. Go fire right now if you're Luminosity. I mean, you got some low members. You don't have a whole lot of sustain, but
you're right.
You can spread that damage out pretty nicely. It's just that Divios is still here and healthy enough that would have stopped them, and you're just kind of hoping that Divios doesn't check in that spot. Otherwise, that could have been a really good Fire Giant call. And that's just the control that Poseidon brings in that exact situation. Those are great little tiny corridors where Splyce is funneling all into the same spot, and Keeks is able to put out a lot of damage using the ultimate to secure the first kill and then making it happen after that.
Weakens a little bit deep in the jungle here, but he's got some support from Kiki, so he should be able to get away. No blink available for Divios this time round. It's on
Thank
cooldown
goodness, man.
For another 60. If he had blink here, he could kill him.
Probably
Just
not.
saying. What was the ultimate for? Trying to slow down and get a rotation in from Splyce. Kiki's under pressure, but Sumo slams away. Still Cyno going in, using the ferret form to his advantage. And the little pup is also causing some problems. Still, though, the cooldown comes back up again. Off the wall, didn't find the slow. Kiki will finally fall, chased down to his death.
Cyno still doing a lot of damage at this point with that Crusher. Kiki only has the Breastplate of Valor and the Warrior's Blessing, the Pen from Crusher, and from the Evolved Assassin's Blessing. We'll take care of that pretty easily. That's a good display of the damage that Cyno can even do to tanks right now.
I do want to go back to that fight, though, from Splyce and the Pyromancer. Yeah, they get the Gold Fury, but then they kind of went in like lemmings one by one around the Pyro and just got chunked apart.
Well, they lost 3 members, but they did steal away the Pyromancer, so it wasn't all that bad. I mean, look, I'd rather get 3 kills than get the Pyromancer, but at least they didn't lose Pyro and get triple.
That's true. That is true, but it did allow LG to get a couple of free kills that shouldn't have really appeared there.
That Poseidon one should make like om-nom noises as it's going, because it got the mouth on the tentacle. If it just made like
a
chompins.
void om-nom-nom-nom?
No, I want like it just a om-nom-nom-nom as it's going. Let me get in there and voice that thing. I'd crush it.
Give me your impression now and I'll see if I let you do it.
Okay.
You ready? Go.
I'm waiting. Well, as soon as he does it, I'm waiting for the right moment.
He's not going to do it now.
He will, right here. Come on, Keeks. Come on! You om-nom-nom-nom-nom-nom-nom. That was really good.
Sounded like the Cookie Monster.
Right?
That doesn't look like the Cookie Monster.
That was my inspiration. Well, it's kind of like a demonic Cookie Monster.
I still want back a sword to Cookie Monster.
They could do a little. They could do a little voice manipulation in post production. They add that in post.
How did we get up to you doing voiceovers for skins?
Because I did a great job of that.
Right hand side, Kiki and Divios going to continue being Chaac and Kuzenbo, so no one's really going to die here. But we've seen a couple of deaths out of them because of the rotations from teammates. Weaken's already in position for this blue buff on the right hand side. There's nowhere else to really be now with how the jungle and the neutral objectives are looking too.
Yeah, this is the Gold Fury waiting room right now. Both teams are just kind of hanging out until that Gold Fury comes up, because now they've got their defensive relics up. Everyone's hit level 12, and you're able to get that extra set of relics and make your team a little bit safer, and yourself if you're a hunter or a mage, something along those lines. Cyno's able to get beads alongside that blink, and he's going to be a lot safer and be able to engage. Kiki picked up the thorns that we were asking for at level 12, so good luck hitting him in the midst of these team fights. The one thing is that Keeks doesn't have any pen yet. It's only from that penetration boots. Now, luckily for him, Aror hasn't gone for a Heartward Amulet, so that's not going to hurt him too much. Aror instead is electing for some of his own survivability with that Winged Blade. But Keeks has got to be wary that he can't fully burst Aror with just by himself anymore at this point.
And that Wing Blade, very important for Aror to escape some of these slows that are coming out. And it looks like Divios is going the same direction too. So a couple more Wing Blades coming into the fray, allowing him to escape that mud of the Whirlpool.
I think that's a good idea, because not only is that slow pretty strong, but Clout's Astral Arrows are an annoyance. Even Geno hitting you with that dash can mess you up a little bit with the lack of movement speed. And only one sprint, since Divios goes for the blink instead of a second sprint. You're not always going to have that available to get yourself out of the Whirlpool slow.
Really surprised I didn't get the memo about Sovereignty and Heartward Amulet not being picked up at the moment. I mean, 20 minutes in, support's going for different items away from it all the time.
Aurora has been going for different items for a while.
Makes sense. I mean, yeah. We've seen Breastplate of Valor again for Geno here, which
I do not like. I do not like it. I just think it's a little bit... Cooldowns is great. You're a support man. You're there to help the team. Yes, you get more taunts off. Sure, that's the argument.
So you help the team.
But you're probably dying after your first taunt if you don't have enough health. And there's not a lot of health in that build for Geno. He's only getting it from the Gauntlet of Thebes. If he's going to go for Breastplate of Valor, I'd almost rather see him pick up a Reinforced Greaves instead of the Talaria to try and boost up his tankiness a little bit. Because Breastplate is great for CDR, gives you some pretty solid physical protection, but I don't think Cyno nor CycloneSpin are really that worried about that level of physical protection coming from Breastplate of Valor.
Here we go, aggro. It's Gold Fury time again, and both teams starting to group up nicely around, and the solo lane has even made the rotation early on. Ward coverage was all for LG, but now with a couple of quick sentry placements, Splyce back in control again. And we saw what happened to the last Gold Fury. It went down very quick, and you couldn't really see anything because CycloneSpin made sure that would be the case. Do we see them go for the same sort of thing here? It's not as easy.
I think Splyce probably want to fight a little bit more, because now Shaman's Ring is up for best. He wants to stack that up quickly. CycloneSpin wants to get stacks on that Rage. So would Splyce like the Gold Fury? Of course. I think they'd prefer to get a couple kills alongside it.
Cyno showed himself on the right-hand side, though. This should be a go time for LG, and that's exactly what they're doing. Starting up the Gold Fury. Divios having to deal with a Kappa and
can't blink.
Get some stacks for the time being. Back goes the whole of LG, and interesting call from Splyce to not choose to take that fight.
Deciding to send Cyno to the right-hand side. That does feel odd to me. Cyno's sitting on that 1,000-fold blade, really wants to finish off his katana item. That would be a big power spike for him, but I still think that was a time where they could have fought.
Good turn on Aror, but blink from Divios to the backline, and the ultimate will force LG back for a second. But there's two ultimates consumed by Splyce, and nothing was actually given up by LG there. Oh, hang on.
Ooh, Clout.
Clout, did he Aegis that? A little bit worried, wasn't he?
He did, and the sprint from Geno. So blink and two ults for two relics on the other side. Not a horrible call.
Okay.
For Splyce. And let me clarify what I was saying earlier. I don't want Splyce to fight that 4v5. It's the correct call to give it that Gold Fury without Geno there, or without Cyno there. I just don't know that Cyno shouldn't be there in the first place, is what I'm saying. I think that having Cyno be in the midst of that team fight does still favor Splyce at this point in the game, because now Keeks gets his penetration, and the Spear of the Magus is done now. He's going to be a lot more capable of bringing down the tanks like Divios and Aror, and even Cyno with that Runic Shield.
Cyclone get those oracles on the left-hand side, only really for free experience more than anything else. They're not really showing off much of the map. Most of the attention in the game now will be to the right-hand side. Pyromancer respawn for the second time, and the Fire Giant too. But waiting for ultimates to come back up. Cyclone still farming up this left, already taking the tier 1 tower. If anything, the map's kind of even, because mid lane controlled by LG with them having the tower there, and side lane's controlled by Splyce from them having their towers there.
Now is the time where Splyce can fight, right? I'm just kind of waiting for them to do it. And Best just backed, finished Gem of Isolation. Aurora just got Magi's Cloak finished. Cyno finished his Stone Cutting Sword.
Divios Wing Blade.
With Divios Wing Blade. Cyclone got more crit with that Star 2. So this is the time.
It is called Wing Blade, right? I'm not going... Is it called Wing Wand?
No, it's Wing Blade.
Okay, it changed. I was getting confused because
Wing
Magi's
Wand.
Cloak.
What year is it?
Well, that was. Well, I mean, Magi's Cloak never existed before. It used to be Magi's
Right,
Blessing.
but it went from Winged Wand to Winged Blade.
My
a
brain
long
just
time
got
ago.
lost for a second. Okay, and I was like,
I
wait a
know.
second. Am I saying wand and it should be? Am I saying blade and it should be wand? That's what it was.
I hear you.
It happens, man. It happens.
Next thing you know, someone's gonna buy a mystical mark.
Next thing you know, you're going to go back to time cues. Oh, wait! Pyromancer! Pulled by LG. Reset again, but Divios taking a lot more damage than he bargained for. Has to ult, and before he's even detonates, he's dead!
Keeg gets another kill. That's 3 in a row for him. Pyromancer is going to go for free to Luminosity now. No way, Splyce is going to get in there. Splyce just seems to have see, it fits. Splyce just seems to have lost all aggressiveness so far in this game, and I don't really know why. I don't know. It feels very weird to me. They were at a good spot in this game and just felt like they let off the gas pedal for some reason.
Are they concerned about LG's mid-game, and so they're trying to just play around that a little bit by being more defensive? Is that what it is?
Sure, their mid-game's scary, but you know what's scarier? Letting them get to late game with a lead because you're just sitting on your hands, letting them take whatever they want to take.
We're riding along with Keeks. He's going to be dropping a Kraken anytime. He's doing this blind at the moment, so we'll hold it for the time being. You saw we can dip back out of this fight as the drums of war were used by Best. Kiki was round on the left, and now he's going to join the team back in the middle lane once more. No real damage is done, although the speed buff being looked at.
Best to use beads and ultimate in response there. Cyno going to blink forward, use the ultimate.
Geno.
Geno is getting CC'd and cut down. Cyclone is going to be able to secure that. No Kraken yet from Keeg, still holding on to it.
And now Weaken under pressure too. Best going to look for some aggression onto him. The Kraken from Keegs whiffed terribly, and that means Best will still survive, but for how long? Snipes from Clout will secure 2 kills, 1, 2, jobs are good, and but then Divios answers back on Keeks.
And Cyclone starting to hunt his opposition in the duo lane on their rotation towards mid, leaving Cyno alone onto Kiki. Cyno should be able to find that kill on the right, and Clout's running for his life.
He's going to have to keep running because the crits are coming through from CycloneSpin as well. Cyno does find Kiki. D aside for Splyce. And you know what happened there, Aggro? You know what it was?
Your mid laner missed a Kraken?
That counted, but it was something before that. It was the speed buff bait, the master speed buff bait.
Yes.
Leave the speed buff up, entice the enemy jungler in. Weaken sees the speed and he's like, I'm there, boys. Geno joined in, and before you knew it, Splyce went, there we go. The bait has been set, the trap has been sprung, and now we win the fight. That's what it was. That's why they were waiting.
FG getting low. Geno's here. Reach doesn't do it, but man, that was close.
Oh, they held that too close.
That was really close. But they get the Fire Giant, so Splyce says calculated and goes back to base easily. Have you noticed that Splyce seemed to be very focused on their attention to Geno so far in this set? That entire engagement is started, as you mentioned, by the speed buff bait, but the CC chain from Cyno is entirely onto this Athena, who got shredded by just Cyno, by the way. No sovereignty, as we touched on earlier. Breastplate of Valor didn't do enough there to keep Geno alive, and losing your support that's been setting up the entire time really does hurt. Now, if Keegs hits a good Kraken, that could have been mitigated, but that's a risk that you take from time to time, where sometimes just without any setup, Krakens are easy to misplace or put in the wrong spots.
Oh, is this a pick for Keegs on the left-hand side? It is, you know, because the ult out from Cyclone to allow Cyno to get in range with the blink. The pin is good. The Kraken is better. Best is already dead. We can credit with a kill.
And Keegs almost escapes, but there's the Chaac, baby. No one could have done that. Divios gets the kill, but Weaken is able to claim a double.
2 for 1 then, and Splyce have kind of lost some of their Fire Giant prowess they once had. Cyclone still has it though, and that's important for them, but it's going to slow them down doing anything for the next 30-odd seconds.
Keegs didn't have Aegis, but he did have the beads, and that, and by the way, a really nice turnaround title surge. Create some distance between Keegs and Cyno. If Cyno's able to stick on top of Keegs that entire time, he never gets that Kraken off. But Best jumps forward. Best has been very aggressive this game, uncharacteristically so. 0-5 for the Best. The player damage barely more than Aror so far. CycloneSpin's down there as well, but this has not been Best's best game.
LG will get a free tier 1 tower on the left-hand side then, with what just happened in the last encounter. Gold Fury just was taken as well by Splyce, as we saw, so there's nothing really for LG to look to pick up elsewhere. Maybe tier 1 tower on the right. But LG did a good job of fighting into Splyce now after the last little indiscretions in that mid lane area.
So Splyce goes from not doing anything to doing too much on the left side. Just get gold and then siege up your tier 1 and mid. Get the tier 2 towers off the map. How much does it, think of it this way. How much difference does killing Poseidon there make? Does that open up a Phoenix push?
Yeah.
For Splyce?
You kill Keegs, you get a Phoenix.
Maybe.
It's fair.
I don't know that you do for sure.
Wraps around the back. Drums of war from Best. Gonna rip onto Keegs and Geno. Geno hovers in the air. Still alive, but Cyno with a pin will secure the kill. Tier 2 tower falls as Divios turns up. Oh, he should fall momentarily, but Kiki's doing a damn good job of body blocking those autos.
No fear from Kiki, and deservedly so. He's full HP, and here, watch his Nene. There he is.
He's gone.
He's gone.
We watched it, and then it disappeared. Love the ward placed down there by LG to try and keep vision of what's going on here. Blink available for Weaken. May look to blink to the back line to try and get some aggression off his Divios tacking up the front. Weaken still hanging, waiting for the right opportunity, and he's looking potentially. Well, as this goes on, he's just let Keegs die because he's looking for the damage dealers at the back. Cyno's killed both the carries, as now Weaken is trying to fight on the army with Kiki, but Kiki's dead. Weaken's next. Cyclone gets a double kill. Is that game? What?
And you know what sucks for me here, Graham? That was the little tiny knockup from Chaac that prevented relic usage from Keegs and let Cyno eat him alive.
That's why you picked Chaac.
No, and I mean this entirely unironically. No other character could have done that. And I will eat my words.
Gab.
Well played. Yeah, but it wouldn't have silenced at the same time.
That's true. 15-13.
Come on,
the game
man.
ends just before the 30-minute mark.
You know what? This is actually just karma because I made fun of F. yesterday for predicting a mouse sports comp and he got it totally wrong and I laughed at him a lot.
Yeah, I remember that.
Now I'm the butt.
I remember those laughs. Those laughs were pretty funny.
Okay, but that was really funny.
Who do you guys at home think was MVP for that game?
Okay, not trolling, not Chaac for sure. But come on, it was actually Cyno.
You
Cyno
said at the end that
no other one could have done that, but it enabled Cyno. Cyno was the one who had the double kill. Cyno was the one who won in the team fight that turned the game around. Cyno.
I'm not gonna lie though, looking back at that set, that was a very discombobulating set from my point of view. Like everything was all over the place.
That game was really weird.
Both of them were, if you think about it, looking back. I don't think either team felt comfortable against each other or knew what they really wanted to do. Right. It was game plans, but the game plans just weren't executed.
No, it was a little bit awkward from both teams. That's a set victory for Splyce, and you know they've got to feel good with that. They don't go to game 3, so they win a set.
They win a set. Actually, we've not even discussed that bit yet. We're so excited about the Chaac pick and the win for Chaac.
Wait, we are?
I am. Splyce won. Splyce won.
It's because they won in 2. As long as they only play 2 games, Splyce is in a good spot. They're not going to get swept. But if they go to game 3, that's where they're in trouble.
2-0 to Splyce. To the desk we go. Tom, Taco, take it away. Please. Now.
Thanks a lot, boys. Tom Baddinger here with the best of tacos. That's my fault. I'm sorry that it didn't come to us quickly enough. Either way, the game certainly came to us quickly enough. Splyce doing it again. I'm with Ryan. Nobody really felt comfortable there.
I think that this is one of those situations where Splyce probably understood we are kind of far behind, and I think that Luminosity most likely should have been able to continue their lead, but it was just awkward. A lot of those engagements felt a bit forced from Luminosity, and I think that was just Splyce doing their best to kind of adjust a little bit faster to those situations in comparison. I think that there were a couple of shot-calling miscommunications that occurred there as well for Luminosity, in that we would see Weaken trying to go in, and then the rest of the team just didn't really seem to be there for the follow-up.
Yeah, just kept getting punished over and over again, whether it was from the left side of the map or the right side of the map. This time around, Divios was always on the right side of the map, correct or otherwise. Big D MVP again, and no surprise here. I mean, Divios has been a pillar of his team, and it was very sad when he stepped away from the game. Unfortunately, just didn't find a team. But knowing Divios, I don't think he actually stepped away from the game. He's one of the few pros that I have on my friends list, and I don't think I ever see him offline.
Do you ever see him in anything outside of jungle practice, though? Because that's the more important question here to ask. Because if there's one game mode that I think Divios is known for running, it's the jungle practice, believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, and, you know, jokes aside, I mean, that has a lot to do with why he is so proficient in that solo lane. Every time I get here with Toli, we break down how the solo lane is a game of inches, not miles. It's all about the small things that you do, and Divios sitting there, you know, in the jungle practice, breaking down, how much do I hit with this item? Wait a second, what about this one instead? It sounds boring, but these guys are professional level players, and that's the type of dedication you've got to have to the craft.
and it shows. I mean, it's not every day that you get to see a Chaac actually be one of the leading candidates for your team's composition, but I really liked it. The execution came forward a lot of times for Splyce, where they would just drop the Darkest Night ultimate. You've got this giant AoE silence, and it's also one of the few things that I think Chaac ult does do right. It's not so much that little baby knock-up as much as it is the silence timing whenever you're trying to secure objectives.
Yes, the silence is really big. And at the end of the day, I think Chaac is most accurately described as a bruiser. He doesn't have the control that some of the other characters have out of the warrior slot, but what he does bring is higher damage, especially if you build him in that direction. So Divios here, he's got the silence, but he's just trying to exert force onto you. And that's basically what he did with the Chaac. So nice moves for Splyce. They'll wind them on the higher end of the standings this time around with 2 wins and 0 losses actually in that split. That means that they wind up with 2 as their plus-minus up there on top at the #1 spot.
Still a very promising start, though, for Splyce, and it is still in week 1, so not all gloom and doom necessarily for the likes of Luminosity, COG, or E-United. But it's evident that the competition is only getting more fierce as time goes on, and I can't believe that we're actually having to say this every single time, but the competition really does just continue to improve.
Absolutely. And we're halfway through the first week. Dignitas and Energy will play tomorrow. Then we've got Rival facing off against Mouse Sports. And then we'll end the week on Friday with Space Station, Counter Logic Gaming, E-United, and LG one more time.
And United Luminosity both going to be looking to try and volley their way into some positive point standings. So that'll be a nice little matchup to keep an eye out for, too.
Yeah, watching these teams really bang it out has been a lot of fun. Spring Split already in the books. Congratulations to Rival, who winds up victors of that one. Summer Split is where we're breaking down right now, and we're headed to the Fall Split, which, of course, will wind up at HRX in DreamHack, baby. Bring me back to the city, please and thank you. November 16th through the 18th. Smite going to join Paladins and all of the other big boys as far as esports is concerned at the big event.
Come say hey to us. Go say hey to some of your favorite players. And better yet, make some new friends. I mean, there's always plenty of Smite fans rolling around the venues, and you can be sure to catch up with some of those people as they're trying to check out the matches going on there.
Yeah, really fun stuff there. Like I said, also, if you've been to the HRX before, it's like North Atlanta. It's like Migos territory. It's suburban. It's there's a Walmart, there's a Hooters, and then there's HRX. This is much different. We're down there in the heart of the city, downtown Atlanta. Yeah, baby, you already know I'm excited about it. What was your favorite takeaway from today, Taco?
I think that it was fun seeing Splyce win a set.
Yeah.
Ron Jobbert is the most gullible person I know, and I feel very necessary to tell you guys that right now.
We definitely have a lot of fun here. If I have anything, I think my takeaway was the trifecta match. Watching Paul, sure. Welcome to the league. Very exciting to see him. Welcome back, Matt Yankee. Let's pretend that the mid lane never happened, because today you looked fantastic. That's going to do it for us here at hi-rez Studios. For myself, Melissa, and everybody else here at the broadcast, we appreciate you. We'll catch you tomorrow. Peace, and much love to you.